Owning your story means embracing every part of it, the good, the bad, and the difficult. Too often, we're taught to hide the parts of ourselves that we deem unworthy or shameful to mask our struggles in an effort to present an image of perfection. But the truth is, your story, every single chapter of it holds power. The experiences you've been through, whether triumphant or painful, have shaped you into the person you are today. And denying those parts of yourself is denying the growth and resilience you've developed along the way. When you own your story, you are choosing to stand in your truth. This doesn't mean glorifying the hard moments or pretending they didn't hurt, but rather acknowledging them as integral pieces of your journey. Those struggles, those mistakes, those lessons learned, they are not things to be ashamed of. They are proof of your strength and your capacity to evolve. Embracing your story means allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It's about breaking down the walls that we often build to protect ourselves from judgment and opening up to the possibility of connection. Vulnerability is where true connection happens, both with yourself and with others. When you stop hiding parts of who you are, you allow others to see the real you, the version of you that's flawed, but also capable of incredible growth and transformation. It's in owning your story that you step into your power. When you stop running from your past or trying to edit it into something more palatable for others, you begin to live authentically. You take control of your narrative, no longer allowing shame or fear to dictate how you show up in the world. There's immense freedom in that. Freedom to express yourself fully, to make decisions based on who you truly are rather than who you think you're supposed to be. And as you embrace your story, you also embrace the opportunity to rewrite it. You are not defined by the difficult chapters. Just because you've experienced hardship or failure does not mean you are destined to remain stuck in that place. Owning your story means recognizing that you have the power to shape your future, to take the lessons from your past and use them as fuel for growth. It's not easy to embrace every part of your story. There will be parts that make you cringe, parts that bring up painful memories, and parts that you wish you could forget. But every single part of your journey holds value. Every challenge you faced has taught you something about yourself, even if those lessons weren't immediately clear. And it's in acknowledging and accepting those lessons that you gain the wisdom and strength to move forward. Owning your story also means being compassionate with yourself. Too often, we hold ourselves to impossible standards of perfection, believing that anything less than flawless is unworthy. But the reality is, we all stumble. We all have moments where we don't get it right. And that's okay. Those moments don't define us. They are simply part of the process of becoming. When you embrace your story, you give yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, and to grow from them. Owning your story is an ongoing journey. It's not a one-time decision, but rather a practice of continually showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. It's about choosing day after day to stand in your truth, to accept all that you are, and to embrace the possibility of growth and transformation. In doing so, you not only honor your own journey, but you also inspire others to do the same. Setting boundaries to honor your energy is a profound act of self-respect. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, whether it's from work, family, friends, or even the endless barrage of information and distractions from social media and technology. And if we're not careful, we can find ourselves depleted, stretched too thin, and wondering why we feel so exhausted without even understanding where our energy went. The truth is, your energy is one of your most precious resources, and protecting it requires intentionality and care. Boundaries are the framework within which you operate at your best. Without them, it's easy to fall into the trap of overcommitting, people-pleasing, and trying to meet the endless needs and expectations of those around you, often at the expense of your own well-being. Setting boundaries is about recognizing your own limits, understanding where your energy is best spent, and making the conscious choice to say no when something doesn't align with your priorities or drains you unnecessarily. When you set boundaries, you are making a powerful statement. You are saying that your energy matters, that your time is valuable and that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that in order to show up fully in any area of your life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal growth, you first need to ensure that your own reserves are filled. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or becoming rigid in how you navigate life. Rather, they are about creating space for yourself to breathe, to reflect, and to recharge. They provide the structure you need to protect your mental, emotional, and physical energy so that you can approach each day with clarity and focus. In fact, when you set healthy boundaries, you actually give more of yourself because what you give comes from a place of fullness rather than depletion. It's important to recognize that setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish or unkind. It's not about neglecting others, it's about ensuring that you don't neglect yourself. Many of us, especially those who have been conditioned to put others first, struggle with the idea of saying no. We worry that we'll disappoint someone, that we'll be seen as uncooperative, or that we'll miss out on opportunities. But here's the thing, without boundaries, we end up sacrificing the very things that make us capable of showing up for others in the first place: our peace of mind, our creativity, our ability to be present. Boundaries can take many forms. Sometimes it's about setting limits on your time, like deciding that your weekends are for rest and relaxation, not for checking work emails. Other times it's about emotional boundaries, knowing when to step back from a conversation or relationship that is draining you rather than nourishing you. It could even be about physical boundaries, making sure you have space to move, breathe, and exist in environments that support your well-being. Whatever form they take, boundaries are a way of asserting your right to protect your energy and prioritize your own needs. Setting boundaries also requires communication. It's not enough to silently decide that you're going to protect your energy. You need to clearly express your limits to others in a way that is respectful but firm. This might mean having difficult conversations, explaining why you can't take on another project at work, or telling a friend that you need some time to recharge rather than attend another social gathering. These conversations can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to advocating for yourself. But over time, you'll find that people will begin to respect your boundaries, and more importantly, you'll begin to respect yourself for setting them. One of the most empowering aspects of setting boundaries is the realization that you are in control of how you spend your energy. You don't have to be at the mercy of others' expectations or demands. You get to choose what you say yes to, and more importantly, what you say no to. And in doing so, you create a life that aligns with your values, your goals, and your well-being. Setting boundaries is also about making space for the things that truly matter. When you stop saying yes to everything, you create room for the activities, relationships, and experiences that genuinely nourish you. You allow yourself to focus on what brings you joy and fulfillment rather than spreading yourself too thin across obligations that don't serve you. Boundaries help you create a life that is meaningful and intentional rather than reactive and scattered. It's important to remember that boundaries are not set in stone. They can shift and evolve as your needs change. What's important is that you regularly check in with yourself and adjust your boundaries accordingly. If you find that you're feeling drained, overwhelmed, or disconnected from yourself, it may be a sign that your boundaries need reinforcing or that new boundaries need to be put in place. Finally, setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's a way of saying to yourself, I matter. My energy matters. My needs matter. It's about showing up for yourself in the same way that you show up for others, with care, compassion, and respect. When you set boundaries, you are choosing to honor your worth and prioritize your well-being. And in doing so, you not only become stronger and more resilient, but you also create a foundation for deeper, more authentic connections with others. Practicing self-compassion in the face of struggle is one of the most transformative acts of self-kindness we can offer ourselves. So often we find ourselves caught in the throes of life's challenges, navigating moments of failure, disappointment, or pain, and yet the way we speak to ourselves in those moments can either lift us up or tear us down. In a culture that often glorifies toughness, grit, and resilience, we tend to equate being strong with being hard on ourselves, We believe that if we're just a little more critical, a little more demanding, we can push through the difficult moments with more resolve. But the truth is, what we often need most in our struggles is not more criticism or judgment, but more compassion and grace. Self-compassion is about learning to treat ourselves the way we would treat a dear friend when they're going through something difficult. Imagine for a moment that a friend came to you feeling broken, overwhelmed, or frustrated because they had just faced a significant setback. Would you berate them? Would you tell them they weren't good enough, that they should have tried harder, or that they'll never be able to overcome this? Of course not. You'd offer them kindness, support, and understanding. You'd remind them of their worth, of their strengths, and that this moment of struggle doesn't define who they are. Yet when it comes to our own struggles, we often forget to extend that same kindness to ourselves. We are so quick to fall into the trap of self-blame, to feel inadequate, or to question our worth when things don't go as planned. We magnify our mistakes and missteps, holding ourselves to impossible standards of perfection, and in doing so, we perpetuate a cycle of shame and self-doubt. But self-compassion asks us to shift that narrative. It invites us to pause, to take a deep breath, and to remind ourselves that it's okay to struggle, that it's okay to feel vulnerable, and that our worth is not defined by our ability to always have it together. In fact, one of the most beautiful aspects of self-compassion is its ability to help us recognize our shared humanity. Struggles are part of the human experience. Every single one of us, no matter how successful, how strong, or how put together we may seem, faces challenges. We all experience moments of doubt, fear, and failure. And in those moments, self-compassion allows us to remember that we are not alone. It helps us see that struggle is not a sign of weakness, but rather a universal experience that connects us to others. When we practice self-compassion, we learn to speak to ourselves with gentleness rather than harshness. Instead of beating ourselves up for not being perfect, we acknowledge our imperfections with understanding. We allow ourselves to feel whatever emotions arise, whether it's sadness, frustration, or fear, without judging them or trying to push them away. We create space for our pain, not as a way of indulging in it, but as a way of accepting that it's okay to feel hurt, it's okay to feel disappointed, and it's okay to not have all the answers right now. This doesn't mean that we ignore our struggles or give up on growth. On the contrary, self-compassion helps us approach our challenges with more clarity and resilience. When we are kind to ourselves, we create a sense of safety within our own minds, which allows us to reflect on our struggles from a place of curiosity rather than fear. We can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? Rather than dwelling in self-criticism that paralyzes us. In many ways, self-compassion is a form of emotional resilience. When we allow ourselves to feel compassion for our struggles, we build the inner strength to keep moving forward, even when things feel hard. We cultivate the ability to bounce back from setbacks because we're not weighed down by the burden of shame or self-judgment. Instead, we acknowledge our struggles, offer ourselves grace, and use those experiences as opportunities for growth. Practicing self-compassion also means giving ourselves permission to rest. In a world that values constant productivity and achievement, it can be easy to feel like we always need to be doing more, achieving more, or pushing ourselves harder. But self-compassion reminds us that it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to rest when we're tired, to slow down when we're overwhelmed, and to give ourselves the space we need to heal and recharge. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we also begin to understand that our worth is not tied to our accomplishments or our ability to power through difficult times. Our worth is intrinsic. It doesn't depend on how much we achieve, how perfectly we perform, or how few mistakes we make along the way. We are worthy simply because we are human. And that worth remains constant, regardless of the struggles we face. Furthermore, self-compassion helps us break free from the cycle of comparison. It's easy to look around and feel like everyone else has it all figured out while we're still struggling to find our way. But self-compassion teaches us to stop comparing our journey to others. It helps us focus on our own path, recognizing that each of us is on a unique journey with its own challenges and triumphs. Instead of measuring our worth against someone else's success, we learn to honor our own progress, however slow or messy it may be. It's important to note that self-compassion is not about making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It doesn't mean that we ignore our mistakes or refuse to grow. Rather, it's about acknowledging that growth is a process, and that mistakes and setbacks are part of that process. When we approach our struggles with self-compassion, we are better equipped to learn from them and to keep moving forward with a sense of hope and possibility. Self-compassion also fosters a sense of patience. In moments of struggle, it's easy to want to rush through the pain, to find a quick fix, or to force ourselves into solutions. But self-compassion allows us to slow down. It reminds us that healing and growth take time, and that it's okay to be in a place of uncertainty or discomfort for a while. Instead of rushing to fix ourselves, we learn to sit with our struggles, trusting that with time and self-kindness, we will emerge stronger and wiser on the other side. In the end, practicing self-compassion is about learning to be on our own side, especially when things are tough. It's about recognizing that we deserve kindness, even in our darkest moments, and that our struggles do not make us any less worthy of love and care. It's about choosing to be gentle with ourselves as we navigate life's inevitable ups and downs, and knowing that through that gentleness we can find the strength to rise again. Getting comfortable with discomfort is one of the most powerful lessons we can embrace in our lives, because true growth rarely happens when we are at ease. It happens when we stretch ourselves, when we step outside of our comfort zones, and when we allow ourselves to experience the challenges that come with change. There is an inherent resistance in all of us to discomfort. We avoid it, we numb it, we distract ourselves from it. We prefer the familiar, the predictable, the safe. But the reality is that staying in those spaces keeps us stagnant. Growth by its very nature is uncomfortable because it pushes us into uncharted territory, forcing us to confront the parts of ourselves and our lives that need to change. When we avoid discomfort, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to evolve. Growth requires us to face the unknown, to step into situations where we don't have all the answers, and to lean into the possibility of failure. This is where the discomfort lies, in the uncertainty, in the vulnerability, in the potential for things to not go as planned. But it is also where transformation happens. Think about any significant achievement in your life. Chances are it didn't come easily, whether it was mastering a new skill, overcoming a personal challenge, or stepping into a new phase of life. It likely required you to push through discomfort and face fears head on. The discomfort that accompanies growth is not something to fear or avoid, it's something to welcome and embrace. It is a signal that we are moving in the right direction, that we are pushing ourselves beyond the limits we've set for ourselves, and that we are stepping into the person we are meant to become. Too often, we fall into the trap of thinking that discomfort means we are doing something wrong. We feel the tension and resistance in our bodies, and we assume that we should back off or retreat to what feels safe. But discomfort is not a sign that we are failing, it is a sign that we are expanding. When we get comfortable with discomfort, we start to see it as a necessary part of the process of growth. We stop resisting it and instead begin to view it as a challenge to rise to. Discomfort can take many forms: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But when we allow ourselves to sit with that discomfort rather than run from it, we build resilience. We become more confident in our ability to handle uncertainty, and we begin to trust ourselves to navigate whatever comes our way. This trust in ourselves is essential for growth because it empowers us to take risks, to try new things, and to move forward even when we don't have a clear roadmap. One of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the willingness to be uncomfortable in pursuit of something greater. It's easy to stay where we are, to stick with what we know, but deep down, we all have desires, dreams, and aspirations that require us to move beyond our current reality. Whether it's pursuing a new career, deepening a relationship, or working on personal development, the path to getting there is lined with discomfort. But if we avoid that discomfort, we also avoid the possibility of growth and fulfillment. It's important to recognize that discomfort doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to consume us or paralyze us. In fact, part of getting comfortable with discomfort is learning to take it in stride, to break it down into manageable pieces, and to face it one step at a time. Rather than thinking of discomfort as something to endure, we can begin to see it as something that can teach us valuable lessons about ourselves. Each time we face discomfort, we are learning more about our strengths, our limitations, and our ability to persevere. Furthermore, discomfort forces us to confront our fears and limiting beliefs. So often we hold ourselves back because of the stories we tell ourselves, the belief that we aren't good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to pursue what we truly want. Discomfort challenges those beliefs. It forces us to question the narratives we've been holding on to and to push past the internal barriers that have kept us from growing. By embracing discomfort, we are able to rewrite those stories and expand our vision of what is possible. It's also worth noting that discomfort is temporary, but the growth it brings is lasting. The moments of unease, uncertainty, and vulnerability that we experience when we step out of our comfort zones eventually pass, but the lessons we learn and the strength we gain stay with us. Every time we push through discomfort, we are expanding our capacity for growth. We are proving to ourselves that we are capable of more than we thought, and we are building the resilience needed to tackle future challenges with greater ease. There's a reason why athletes push themselves beyond their physical limits, why entrepreneurs take risks in uncharted markets, and why artists continue to challenge themselves creatively. They know that the discomfort they feel in the moment is a small price to pay for the growth and progress they will experience on the other side. In the same way, we must be willing to endure the temporary discomfort of growth in order to reap the rewards of a more fulfilling and expansive life. Getting comfortable with discomfort also helps us develop a deeper sense of compassion for ourselves. We begin to understand that growth isn't supposed to be easy, and that struggling or stumbling along the way is part of the process. We stop judging ourselves for not having it all figured out, and instead we celebrate the courage it takes to show up and do the hard work. When we can extend that compassion to ourselves, we also become more compassionate toward others. We realize that everyone is on their own journey of growth, facing their own discomforts and challenges, and we are more inclined to offer support and understanding. Ultimately, the ability to get comfortable with discomfort is one of the most valuable skills we can cultivate in life. It equips us with the mindset and tools needed to navigate change, uncertainty, and challenges with grace and resilience. It allows us to step into our potential and to create a life that is aligned with our deepest values and desires. But it all starts with a willingness to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. When we stop fearing discomfort and start seeing it as an essential part of the journey, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities that we may have never imagined. In many ways, getting comfortable with discomfort is about surrendering to the process of growth. It's about letting go of the need for control, certainty, and predictability, and instead trusting that the discomfort we feel is guiding us towards something greater. It's about being willing to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to challenge ourselves in ways that may feel uncomfortable but are ultimately necessary for our personal evolution. The more we practice getting comfortable with discomfort, the more we realize that discomfort is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It is through discomfort that we build strength, resilience, and confidence. It is through discomfort that we discover who we truly are and what we are capable of. And it is through discomfort that we transform our lives in meaningful and lasting ways. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire growth is one of the most powerful choices you can make in your life. The company we keep significantly shapes our mindset, our aspirations, and ultimately our trajectory in life. Think about it: every conversation you have, every experience you share, and every piece of advice you receive has an impact on how you see the world and how you see the world and how you see yourself. When you surround yourself with people who challenge you to be better, who push you to expand your limits, and who model the kind of growth you aspire to achieve, you create an environment where growth becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The truth is, we are deeply influenced by the people we spend the most time with. Whether we realize it or not, our thoughts, behaviors, and habits are constantly being shaped by those around us. When you surround yourself with people who are constantly striving for growth, whether it's personal development, career success, emotional intelligence, or spiritual fulfillment, you naturally start to adopt those same aspirations. Their drive becomes contagious. Their commitment to improving themselves inspires you to reflect on your own life and consider where you too can grow. Being in the presence of people who are committed to growth also raises your standards. They won't let you settle for mediocrity, and they certainly won't let you make excuses for why you can't achieve your goals. Instead, they will call you out when you need to be held accountable. They will encourage you when you feel like giving up, and they will remind you of your potential when you start to doubt yourself. This kind of support is invaluable. It's easy to get stuck in a rut when the people around you are content with the status quo, but when you're surrounded by individuals who are constantly pushing themselves and each other to grow, it becomes nearly impossible to stay stagnant. Another important aspect of surrounding yourself with people who inspire growth is that they provide you with diverse perspectives and experiences that challenge your current way of thinking. Growth doesn't happen in an echo chamber. It happens when you are exposed to new ideas, different viewpoints, and alternative approaches to life. When you engage with people who have different experiences and insights, you expand your own understanding of the world. You begin to see things from angles you hadn't considered before, and this broadening of perspective is essential for personal growth. Moreover, being around people who inspire growth creates a sense of accountability. When you see those around you taking action toward their goals, you're naturally motivated to do the same. It creates a kind of positive peer pressure where growth and progress become the norm, not the exception. You start to feel that if the people around you are making strides in their lives, you owe it to yourself to do the same. This doesn't come from a place of competition, but from a shared desire to elevate each other. It's about creating an environment where everyone is committed to becoming the best version of themselves, and that collective energy pushes each individual to rise to the occasion. But it's not just about surrounding yourself with people who are externally successful or driven. It's about being around people who inspire internal growth as well. These are the individuals who challenge you to be more authentic, more compassionate, and more self-aware. They are the ones who help you dig deeper into who you are and encourage you to grow from the inside out. They remind you that growth isn't just about achieving more, it's about becoming more aligned with your true self. These are the people who inspire you to do the inner work, to confront your fears, to heal from past wounds, and to embrace vulnerability as a path to greater strength. In many ways, the people who inspire growth are like mirrors. They reflect back to you both your strengths and your areas for improvement. They help you see yourself more clearly and challenge you to address the parts of your life that may be holding you back. This kind of reflection is crucial for growth because it forces you to take an honest look at yourself and your choices. It's easy to fall into patterns of complacency or denial when you're not being challenged, but when you're surrounded by people who hold up a mirror to your life, you're compelled to confront the truth about where you are and where you want to go. Additionally, surrounding yourself with people who inspire growth fosters a sense of belonging and support that is essential for navigating the ups and downs of life. Growth is not a linear process. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt along the way. Having a community of people who understand and support your journey makes those difficult moments easier to bear. They remind you that you're not alone, and they offer encouragement and guidance when you need it most. This kind of emotional support is just as important as the practical advice or inspiration they provide. It's also worth mentioning that the people who inspire growth don't always have to be in your immediate circle. In today's world, we have access to a wealth of knowledge, experiences, and role models through books, podcasts, online communities, and social media. While having close, personal relationships with growth-minded individuals is invaluable, you can also find inspiration from afar. Seek out mentors, thought leaders, and influencers who embody the kind of growth you aspire to achieve. Learn from their experiences, absorb their wisdom, and let their journeys inspire your own. However, it's important to be intentional about the people you surround yourself with. Not everyone is going to inspire growth, and that's okay, but you need to recognize when certain relationships are holding you back rather than propelling you forward. It doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life completely, but it does mean being mindful of the influence they have on your mindset and actions. If you find that certain individuals drain your energy, feed into your self-doubt, or discourage you from pursuing your goals, it may be time to reevaluate how much time and energy you're investing in those relationships. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire growth is about creating a positive feedback loop in your life. The more you're around individuals who are committed to their own growth, the more inspired and motivated you become to pursue your own growth. And in turn, your growth inspires those around you, creating a ripple effect of positive change. This is how communities of growth-minded individuals are built through mutual support, shared inspiration, and a collective commitment to becoming better versions of ourselves. Ultimately, the people you choose to surround yourself with have a profound impact on your life. They influence your mindset, your habits, and your vision of what's possible. If you want to grow, if you want to become the best version of yourself, you need to be intentional about surrounding yourself with people who inspire that growth. Whether it's through their actions, their words, or simply their presence, these individuals will help you see beyond your current limitations and push you toward a future that is filled with possibility and potential. Celebrating small wins and leading with gratitude is an essential practice for living a fulfilled and meaningful life. Too often, we get caught up in the pursuit of big goals, grand achievements, and monumental milestones. We think that happiness and success are something we will experience only when we reach that ultimate destination, whether it's a promotion, a new level of financial success, or some other life-changing event. But the truth is, waiting for those big moments can rob us of the joy and satisfaction that are available to us in the here and now. Learning to celebrate the small wins along the way shifts our focus from what's missing to what we already have, and it brings a sense of contentment into our daily lives. When we acknowledge and celebrate small wins, we create a positive feedback loop that encourages further progress. Every achievement, no matter how minor it may seem in the grand scheme of things, represents a step forward. Whether it's completing a task you've been avoiding, making it through a challenging day, or taking even the tiniest step toward a long-term goal, every small victory counts. These moments of progress give us the motivation to keep going, especially when the road ahead feels long or overwhelming. By pausing to recognize and appreciate these wins, we're essentially telling ourselves, I'm making progress, and that progress is worth celebrating. Celebrating small wins also helps build momentum. When we see that our efforts are producing results, no matter how small, we're more likely to stay committed to the process. It's easy to lose motivation when the only thing we're focused on is the big picture. The big picture can feel distant and unattainable, and when we don't see immediate results, we might start to question whether we're on the right path. But when we break our journey down into smaller, more manageable milestones and take the time to celebrate those achievements, we're reminded that progress is being made, even if it's slower than we'd like. This keeps us engaged and energized, and it makes the process of working toward our goals feel much more rewarding. Moreover, celebrating small wins encourages a shift in mindset from scarcity to abundance. When we're constantly focused on what we haven't achieved yet, we operate from a place of lack. We see only what's missing, what's still out of reach, and what we haven't accomplished. This scarcity mindset can lead to frustration, self-doubt, and even burnout. On the other hand, when we take the time to celebrate the progress we're making, no matter how small, we begin to see our lives through the lens of abundance. We start to appreciate the small steps, the little moments, and the daily victories that contribute to our overall success. This mindset of abundance allows us to feel more fulfilled and content in the present rather than constantly chasing after something in the future. Leading with gratitude is another powerful way to cultivate a mindset of abundance. Gratitude is the practice of recognizing and appreciating the good in our lives, both big and small. It shifts our focus away from what we don't have and directs it toward what we do have. When we lead with gratitude, we become more attuned to the blessings in our lives, and we develop a deeper sense of appreciation for the people, experiences, and opportunities that surround us. Gratitude helps us to recognize that success is not just about achieving big external milestones, it's also about the inner growth, the learning experiences, and the relationships that support us along the way. Gratitude also has the power to transform the way we approach challenges. When we lead with gratitude, we're able to see even the difficult moments in our lives as opportunities for growth. We start to appreciate the lessons that come from struggle, and we become more resilient in the face of adversity. Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, we begin to see them as stepping stones on our journey. Gratitude allows us to maintain a positive outlook even when things aren't going as planned. It reminds us that there is always something to be thankful for, no matter how small. And that mindset can make all the difference in how we navigate life's ups and downs. One of the most profound aspects of leading with gratitude is that it fosters connection with others. When we express gratitude, we acknowledge the role that other people play in our lives. Whether it's a friend who offered support during a tough time, a colleague who helped us achieve a goal, or even a stranger who performed a small act of kindness. Expressing gratitude deepens our relationships and strengthens our sense of community. Gratitude is a reminder that we are not alone in our journey. It encourages us to recognize the contributions of others and to build stronger, more meaningful connections. Gratitude also has a ripple effect. When we practice gratitude, we inspire others to do the same. It's contagious in the best possible way. When we lead with gratitude, we model for others the importance of appreciating the small things, the progress, and the people in our lives. This not only makes us feel better, but it also creates a positive atmosphere for those around us. Whether in our personal relationships, our workplaces, or our communities, leading with gratitude helps to create an environment where people feel valued, recognized, and appreciated. This, in turn, encourages more kindness, more cooperation, and more positive interactions. It's important to note that celebrating small wins and leading with gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the challenges or hardships we face. Life is full of obstacles, and there will be times when it feels difficult to find something to celebrate or be grateful for. But even in those moments, the practice of gratitude can serve as an anchor. It can remind us that there is always something worth acknowledging, whether it's our own resilience, the support of loved ones, or even the fact that we're still standing despite the challenges. Gratitude doesn't negate the difficulties, but it helps to put them into perspective. One way to cultivate a practice of celebrating small wins and leading with gratitude is through daily reflection. Take a few moments each day to think about what went well, what progress you made, and what you're thankful for. These can be small, seemingly insignificant things, a conversation that brightened your day, a task you completed, or even just the fact that you showed up for yourself in some way. By regularly acknowledging these wins and expressing gratitude, you train your brain to focus on the positive aspects of your life. Over time, this practice can shift your entire outlook, making you more resilient, more optimistic, and more motivated to keep moving forward. Another powerful way to celebrate small wins is to share them with others. When you achieve something, no matter how small, don't be afraid to share it with your friends, family, or colleagues. Not only does this reinforce the win for yourself, but it also inspires others to recognize and celebrate their own progress. In the same vein, expressing gratitude to others can have a profound impact on your relationships. Take the time to thank the people who support you, who challenge you, and who inspire you. A simple expression of gratitude can deepen your connections and create a sense of mutual appreciation and respect. As you continue on your journey toward becoming your best self, remember that it's not just the big achievements that matter, it's the small steps you take each day. It's the moments when you push through resistance, the times when you show up for yourself, and the decisions you make to keep moving forward, even when it's hard. Each of these moments is a victory in its own right, and each one deserves to be celebrated. When you lead with gratitude and take the time to recognize your small wins, you create a life that is rich with meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Becoming your best self is not about grand gestures or sudden transformations. It's about embracing every part of your journey, from your successes to your struggles. By owning your story, setting boundaries to protect your energy, practicing self-compassion, and getting comfortable with discomfort, you create space for authentic growth. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire you and celebrating small wins with gratitude fosters resilience and positivity. This path requires patience, reflection, and a willingness to show up for yourself every day, even in the smallest ways.